Okay, another video for today as promised. So as we're beginning, I'm just letting you guys know the serious channel that I've been talking about all of this time. This is it, and I posted the first video, so check it out if you get a chance. Um, so yeah, that's that. Anyway, after that, this this is what I wanted to talk to y'all about today. This is my personal um, this is my personal thoughts on this subject that has been going around lately. I feel like y'all are making this a bigger deal than it needs to be, and you're not the only one. I will say this is not all just us. This is pretty much the world. It makes this such a big deal. Um, there's a lot of talk about what I'm going to refer to in this video as multi-marriage. The reason I'm doing that is because it's not going to be gender specific because of my discussion. I mean, if you decide as a woman that you want to have multiple husbands, maybe you can use this information and, let me know how it works out. I wouldn't, but okay. And then men who always want to have, because they might have enough money and resources. What if they're the only kid or they're the oldest daughter and there are no sons or the sons died? They may have some stuff that they can do and they can take care of several husbands. I don't know. All right? If y'all are cool with it, then go for it. So anyway, in terms of men, right? I feel that one, let me just say, I don't have an opinion on what other people are going to do with their life. I am going to say that to be opposed and supportive of this cannot exist. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there's a lot of going back and forth. And so you get to make your own decision. And if you're changing your decision at that moment, then fine. What I'm referring to is people that start out having one opinion on this subject and nothing has changed. They just decided on their own. I changed my mind today. That's not evolving because you can't explain why. So I think we need to talk about some reasons why it's not happening. So y'all can look at this page here. This is just my criterion checklist if you're going to get it done. But why it's not happening, I think the answer lies into, because it used to happen, and what changed. So I think that's where the answer lies if y'all want to get this done. I'm tired of y'all whining about it, so let's see if this will work. One, legally. In the United States, here where we live, right? So it first was there to target the Church of Latter-day Saints. As far as I'm going back in this, I'm not going any further than that. Because I don't have time. Other places, when they outlawed multi-marriages, they were targeting other religions that are not Christianity. Women were seen as victims during that time. The men were jailed and fined. And the places where it still exists, I mean, like, the first wife has to consent. So I don't see the big deal. In terms of legal, they're not enforcing it. The point for that is it's illegal because it's too much for the government to deal with. If you have all of these different women, at some point you guys became a liability to the government. You were asking people to help you enforce it. And we'll talk about all of the stuff that you needed the government's help with at that moment. Because this is what the point of all of this is. People serial date. They have perpetual bachelorhood. They have baby mamas. They have women that they just keep going back and forth with. And as long as they're not legally married to any of them, nobody has the ability to make anybody pay or make anybody miserable. So once you marry one, if you marry several, then the government, like the court systems, child support, alimony, all of that costs money to run and enforce. So the government said, pick one of these people. We're going to keep track of you and one of these women, and the rest of it, if you come in our courtroom, then, we're going to make sure that our punishment is for you to pay, if you can. And if you're not, if you can't, we may not be able to do anything about it, but we are gonna roast you. So that's what they're doing on the media. Mistresses, people have mistresses. They have, what babies do is it's an unofficial sealed arrangement. It's not documented except for on a birth certificate, which is why that's a big deal of placing the father's name on the birth certificate, giving the kid the father's last name. It does matter. Men, sign the birth certificate if it's your kid. Sign the birth certificate if you're going to be responsible for the child. Do you need a DNA test? Does it matter? DNA tests only have existed for us to use for decades. It's not always been available. So, y'all love going back in the history and say, well, we should do. Well, okay, if you're going to bring in multi-marriage because you went to the history and got it, we're also going to throw DNA away. Throw it back. We don't need it because we're going to do everything that they did in history. So, with that being said, the punishment legally is just a couple years and a fine. So if you can afford it, you just do it anyway. And that's the whole part of the concept. That's another reason why y'all can't afford this. Right now, y'all just loud and getting on everybody's nerves. Okay, second, after the legality, the ideology behind it. Do you fully even understand what the lifestyle would entail? The women are cared for, and this is the opposite of the shared spouse. The spouses that are doing the sharing. They're cared for. There's an emotional connection. The guy cares about them. He's connected to all of them emotionally. Otherwise, why is he providing for them? How is he going to be motivated to make sure that they're also protected? So you should feel, if you're going to have the right ideology to do this, you need to be able to feel that more kids is a sign of wealth. It's a sign of health and virility. And it's approval of your entire being to be recreated. It's status. It's success. Because women want to have kids under your tutelage and your name. You want us to value your name? Okay, well, make it valuable. Value needs to be able to be translated into something that can help provide, protect, and support me and your progeny. It needs to have an exchange rate. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be liquid, but it needs to have an exchange rate. Do you have a plan that doesn't contain violence or harm and neglect to reduce the competition inside of this house? How are you going to get people to not usurp your authority? The women in these situations are usually ranked. It's a definitive rank. There shouldn't be any moving up and down. Once it's there, it's there. And it's done by you. You are okay, so let me say the sharing spouses are ranked, and they're ranked by you according to your usefulness for what they bring to the table. So you need to be able to be mentally stable. What's your rainy day plan? What jobs are you going to delegate to each one of the people? Because if not, you're going to be overthrown. What criteria do you have for selection? Are you overly needy or overly independent as a man? That's a problem too. We don't talk about it. It's a problem for a man to be overly independent. I don't want to hear guys throwing their hands up with no ring on it. I'm independent. No, I don't care. That's not even the right answer. Ugh. Okay. So number 3, contraindications and liability. This is a problem. This is why it doesn't exist anymore either. We have a culture of men who no longer will condone that. The men have bought into this. There was men who jailed and fined you. There was men who said that the women were victims, that they didn't have anything, to do with it unless they didn't testify. Then they went to jail. But if they testified, no, he like forced me to be the second wife. Yeah, I couldn't fight him off, and then they put you in jail and you had to pay money. So other men don't respect your decision to do this. They're going to have an attitude. They're going to be irritated. They will steal the one of them that you are not paying enough attention to. Some wives will be willing, some sharing spouses will be willing to leave your ranks and go to another one where they get to be first. It's just part of human nature. It exists. If you don't want that to happen, you need to be able to plan for it. And it's different. It's different for each person. That's the point. Do you have time to get to know more than one person? This is like, if you're going to be ripped apart by having more than one person, then you need to just let that dream go. Okay, so you also have to be able to be around them at all times to avoid that. Desperate housewives. They sleep with the pool guy or either the mailman or the milkman because of consistent proximity. When all of this was going on, the guys had their own land and their work was done there. And if they did leave, it was short-lived. The women were busy. They had stuff that they were responsible for doing. And then there were times where a man came through and just destroyed it all if he couldn't steal them. So it happened. It was part of it. Why does that happen? Why do desperate wives, end up, desperate housewives end up doing that? Well, because if she has to interact with people that are coming into your home to fix things because you're not there, you're at work, you're working for somebody else. So if you have a pool, it's going to need to be cleaned unless you want to do it on Saturday morning. But you don't like having a honey-do list left for you, so that you hired somebody. That's what the money was for, right? Okay. So this guy comes into your house and she is now the de facto, the interim ruler over a man. She's telling a man what to do. She's making sure that a man is doing his job and cutting him a check. What do you think that leads to? So, have you thought about, can you afford to work from home? Have you figured out a career where you're going to be able to be there and take care of your own stuff? And if you do have to call a man over, you're there to supervise. I hear men say y'all don't trust each other. Well, this is why. There are people that don't respect marriages. They don't respect monogamy either. Like, okay, so if a person cheats, right? Let's get to why this ideology is frowned upon, why people don't like it. We'll use the excuse as the man is the shared spouse and the wives are the sharing spouses. So cheating is, in my opinion, an excuse. If she leaves, it means your business was not taken care of before you went out to go get another person. You can, in fact, sleep with another person and you love the first one and now you love the second one too. I hope it's love. If not, then why are we talking about this? So anyway, it is possible and it's an excuse. But why? What's the difference? Now, would I do it? No, I don't want all of that because y'all don't cheat right. Yes, there is a way. There is a way to do it right. Not that I want that to happen either. Anyway, it's an excuse. We see women stay with men that are rich or that have status or whatever all of the time after they cheat. We see women stay with regular men who cheat. So it's an excuse. If she left, it's not the cheating. It was something that you left out while you were cheating. Women are not responsible for that. According to this ideology, you don't hold the women responsible for any of those things. She was not supposed to be left in a place where that could even happen. They didn't listen to women then. it was another man. If she, no matter what she's doing, you know me and you know that this is my house. You were supposed to say no. You weren't even supposed to be over there, and I didn't know. How many of y'all have cussed out a friend of yours for coming over to your house unannounced and you was at work without calling? So there, I mean, in that ideology, what you can believe if you just need one is that the woman has no idea how to decline or resist or reject a guy that is not willing to take no for an answer. The point is, he sees her and he does not say, oh, that would irritate another man that I care about. He does not say that. That thought is absent. So why is the woman responsible? How do you do that if a man thinks that the word no is disrespectful? Men can change. The men around you can change their mind. They can get owned and bribed. I like to refer to that as what we think about being possessed. Someone has possessed you. That you are owned and bought or bribed or whatever, or even convinced to go against a guy that you used to hold in high regard. They might have been plotting on you from the beginning. Maybe. It does happen. Can you remain that hyper aware every day? Would you view it as failure if a guy was able to do that? So with the first two things, the legality, the ideology behind it, if you want to get this type of lifestyle going, you would be bucking a whole system. You'd be going against appropriate advice. It's like leaving the hospital against doctor's orders. You're going against advice for a reason. And you couldn't maintain the situation that you went against everybody to do anyway. Now, are you going to rebuild it? Are you going to get a new group? What would that do to your structure over time if one leaves? What happens? How does that impact everybody? Are you going to give everybody time to deal with that before you add somebody else in? Are you going to add somebody else in? See, these are things that y'all need to be thinking about that I never hear in these discussions. So I know that y'all are not on the right road to getting this done. And if you do, you're not going to be able to keep it. Yes, your opponents, the men around you, they know these things. And they do. They do it on purpose. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do about it? So my issue with this contraindications, right? The liability of all of this. Men today, when you try to sleep with more than one woman, even though it's not legal, you get punished. The government doesn't enforce it because everybody else around you does. So you have to lie in order to add more than one person. Marriage or not. There's going to have to be some kind of lie that happens. And that is just for your peace. You could just be honest and deal with all of the stuff that comes with it, but that gets tiring. You don't want to feel that hyper aware every day. What does that do to your brain and your body? You end up in a therapist's office and you're now taking anxiety pills because once it's all done, you're still hyper aware. You're still anxious all of the time. Or either you're sad because you're tired now and, it took a lot out of you. Maybe you're angry because you just don't understand why you can't. Why is people telling you no? Why you can't do something that you want to do, right? Whatever the reason is, there's pills for each one of those things, or you could just not. Finally, the logistics. Number 4. The logistics have changed. It's not feasible anymore. We pick and choose what we want to keep and what we want to abandon from the past. Yes, we do. We pick and choose like a buffet. We do. And that's what's supposed to happen. Some of it was okay. Some of it's not. Until it's obsolete, we keep it. Once it's obsolete, why would you spend money to keep something that you now have a viable alternative to do? It's like a person who wants to still today in 2019 use a typewriter for everything. I mean, I don't have to care that it takes you longer and you couldn't find the eraser tape anymore. They don't make it for a reason, because they make computers. You throw it away, but keep it like in a museum. So that is evolving. That is adapting. In the past, when they did marry more than one woman, they used to marry the entire family. These were sisters. These were cousins. Another man came to you and said, listen, I have 18 daughters and they need the same guy. Are you rich? I don't understand. You need to do this for the culture. You're the only person that can afford this. And then he was looked at as amazing because he got 18 women, all from a man that he needs to respect, a man that chose him because they get along and they have the same values. Do y'all have any of that around you? Y'all hate your in-laws. You can't do that if you're going to have more than one spouse. Today, we don't have any universal codes of right and wrong. That leads to contention. It leads to stress when you're trying to access peace and joy. The fathers can't find you. They can't pick you because you get to do whatever you want because you're grown. And we don't have a code that says automatically, yes, you are wrong. The other person is correct. Because the logistics of today don't require that, and sometimes we can't. The cultures and the religions that were targeted in order to end multi-marriages, these were also cultures and religions that believed that it was more than one person in the garden. So yeah, y'all like to tout out the whole God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve, right? Okay, but he only made one of them. He only made Adam and only Eve according to what the religion is that's winning. Christianity's winning. They said it's only one. Stop all of that. Or either say it secretly in your synagogues and your mosques and stuff. Don't come out here saying that we not listening. And so, technology and science that assists women in challenging the determination you made of their value. It helps them to attack your view of why you need or it's okay for you to want more than one. When you accept the rhetoric of being unable to trust another man, being unable to trust another black person, this increases the pushback for additional members to your clan. If you can't trust anybody, then why are you trying to have more than one? You haven't figured out how to make trustworthy people or how to determine who is. So every time y'all say that, this is a guy that should not be having more than one wife. If the in-laws need to stay out of your business, so do other sexual partners. You get to use that as the other argument because the in-laws are not married to you. Okay, neither are these side chicks. They need to not be in anybody's business, but y'all still kind of let them in. You chose those people and you maintained them secretly. See, that's where the lies come in. You had to lie and cover something up. So if it's on the up and up, if you're adding another wife into the clan, right? Why would you not want to present the idea to everybody that's already there? And then you don't have to argue. It won't be any strife. They'll accept it, right? Well, if you don't have that set up, then you are not ready. You know what happens? The wife, when she's angry, when she finds out you're getting a second person that you're maintaining, right? All those attacks on the wife's appearance, on her character, that's a reflection of what you told the first wife that you used in your selection process for her. She's making a difference. She's critiquing it. It's a debate. So this is what you communicated to her and said that that's what you like. So if she's different, why? Why does she exist, right? Whether you said those words or not, something, whether the things that you let her say when you're not paying attention, the things that you comment on every time you see her, that was the selection process. in her mind. Uh, Another thing that we had to pay attention to back then: separation. Just because you're separated does not mean that you are divorced. By the way, back then, even if you don't know, even if you think that you've been divorced or you think the person died, you are still married, you can still be held accountable because you didn't do the research to find out first. You didn't close one door before you open another one. With that being said, separation does not equal divorce. That is to protect the union in your absence. If you go off and you're doing something for the family, well, when you come back, you still now have a right to say that this person is wrong for entering your union because it still existed. It's why you have to serve the other person. Until then, this is a breach. That is protection for you as well. Men, they're expected to be definitive and final. They're expected to make decisions, to take charge. So that is accepting responsibility and consequences of your choices. After a divorce, you're still bonded spiritually because you leave an imprint on the woman. And you have now damaged her existence for the next guy. You made a promise. You said forever. The community was invested in this decision. You don't live in a bubble. This impacts all of us. If you change your mind and you quit because you're no longer interested in furthering that connection, because you did quit and you changed your mind, but it's quitting. There's nothing wrong with that. It just is. There's no emotional, recommendation for whether it's a good thing or not. You can put that in there. Do you think it's okay to ever quit things? I think some things should be quit sometimes. Don't throw good money after bad. So if you quit, this is something that impacts all of us around you. And this is a decision that has been decided by the world. Yes, people get involved in your union. People like to know whether somebody's off limits or not. So it does impact us all. Things happen. People make decisions based on that union. They decide, I'm not going to talk to her. If y'all aren't actually together and then that was a lie, then I could have talked to her. So if you're going to try to challenge all of these things, how far are you willing to take it? And what's the end goal? So you got extra chicks and now what? What are you going to do with this? So you can't require anybody around you to not have an opinion on these things because we're impacted by that decision. This just does not seem feasible. And other people are going to immediately try to take you down. It's what exists already. I didn't decide this. And that is because they feel like you're not worthy of being able to do it. And somehow we're going to all have to pitch in. Number 5, the view of you that evoked this decision. So men are seen currently and in the past, you guys are seen as being unable to control your desires. And why should you have to, right? You're seen as selfish and immature, and this is by other men. What did y'all do to each other? When did y'all start having that argument? How and when did women ever get a say in any of these decisions? So what men are describing is the fact that once men don't have constant threats all of the time, you got lazy and you start making choices that were immoral and impulsive, according to other men. A woman, when she says yes or no, there's a reason for it. It might be a man somewhere controlling that decision. It could be dad. It could be another guy. Either they're controlling that decision directly or they might be controlling it indirectly. It might be a guy that she wants and you are in the way. So if not, then that's what begins the pushback. If you are asking her to, like she said no, and you're asking her to change that decision, because you know what's best. That she's already showing you that she's pushing back on something. You had a question, she declined that question. Y'all disagreed. You think that y'all should date. She disagreed. She said no. And you want to keep going. So you have to understand, she's already started pushing back. It's okay if you feel like you can handle it. Do you have a plan? How are you going to handle it? How are you going to stop her from doing this again with something else? What if it's a different topic? Is it going to always work? Well, because, y'all ask for women that are just like silent all the time. And if you want silence, this is how you get it. So right now, women are excited. They're reveling in the idea of us having a voice and of us being able to say no. That's what all of this is. Women didn't used to get a chance to say anything. So now they're using their voice. They're just showing up telling men no for stuff they didn't even ask. Just no all the time. Just yelling it out. So don't abuse the ones that are saying yes. If they're saying yes, you need to be nice. You need to be respectful. You need to accept that happily and thankful. So men ask for like this grotto. Y'all describe this thing where women just supposed to be walking around naked for your benefit, and then you are getting something that that you believe used to happen in the past, that you lost in the first place. Something happened to where this was not a good idea anymore. What's changed? Do y'all now have a way that that's going to be okay? And then you feel insulted by the necessity to even try to mitigate the negative impact of that. You're going to introduce this, right? And now you feel like it's wrong to make you have to maintain it. That's exactly what happens no matter what you're putting together. You're upset because women aren't supporting you in this decision to do this. Okay, well, see, that right there is the attitude. That means that you're not ready for it to come back. You can't handle a grotto. You can't handle more than one wife. Where is the evidence? Show that you're ready and you can handle this, and that chaos will not ensue. And if you're spiritual, because I really hate when men try to use religion to do this. So God created those consequences. Whatever you did, it doesn't matter. Yeah, the women started it. They made you. Yeah, I hear you. The point is, you did it. So who was you supposed to be listening to? So he gave you a consequence for what you did. He had already punished her. Now he's talking to you. And men, the other men around you, are the ones that are enforcing this. Women only care about this. I'm going to just tell you the truth. We personally, overall, wouldn't care if monogamy or, multi-marriage was a thing. We wouldn't care either way. We'd get used to whichever decision it was. So what? I mean, long as we are okay. And it sounds selfish, but hey, you are supposed to be worried about everybody else. We are only supposed to be worried about what's inside this house and what we're, asked to worry about. So we only care about this because it's no indication that it's sustainable. Before you yell at us about having more than one woman peacefully, you got work to do. You need to check off some of the stuff on this list. Insecurity, the very definition of that word, is not feeling secure. We do not feel safe and protected if you have more than one woman. How are you going to fight for 2 and 3 different women? You can't be all these different places. And yes, it would be reduced if people stopped lying about somebody just walked up to them and attacked them for no reason, but it does still happen at some point. And what if you are the person that the jackpot hits that day? And you can call all of your friends over, but then they're leaving their families to come help you with something, which means you can't do it. Now, was this caused by a lie or not? So, black men, you get to decide all of that. So was the ending of multi-marriages, was that caused by somebody lying or was it not? And finally, number 6, personal investment. For me, right? So men have talked to me really horribly sometimes, and it just came out of nowhere, it seemed like. So, because in these relationships, men, they have emotions, and some of the things that y'all say is just, really? I don't want to be anywhere near that because it was directed at me. Okay? Men describe evil, women as evil because you at that moment have not yet devoted every waking thought, every jewel of your energy to his fleeting needs. To just do this instead of being there for your parents and the community and the people that helped you to survive. And it is it's a battle these days because y'all don't see eye to eye like they used to. Arranged marriages. Okay, well, to who? Who you gonna pick? You don't trust nobody. Women, at times y'all say that we irritate y'all. Even when we're mirroring you, we're doing what you ask. We're doing what you do. We're doing what we've always done. And it irritates you because you might be having a bad day. Yes, it exists, I know. But if it happens too much, it makes the person distant and it makes other people numb. So that is a foolish plan. Why, as a man, if you have a woman and she's doing something you told her to do, she's doing something that you've always known her to do, why? What's the thing that triggers irritation in that? Oh, it was something that happened outside, something she didn't do. Yeah. So you need to talk to that person. So if I'm in a relationship, I don't like it. I do not like that. And my desire would be for it to stop. I don't want that to happen. It hurts. And it confuses me. I don't know at that moment now what you want. I have no idea. I never told anyone that I can handle that. So good, the word good in quotation marks. Good women are subjective, but they have to suffer with the bad because of mutual laziness. Because of mental laziness and petulant outrages. So what you think would be a good woman is going to have to suffer for what you have determined is a bad woman. The things that men love about women can only happen when the woman is single. Y'all do not like it when it happens and she's still in a relationship, even though that's what you liked. That's what drew you to her. So you want her to stop all those things once y'all get married. Then, did you say that beforehand? But then if she had not been doing that, she wouldn't have got your attention. And that's what happens when you pull away and she starts doing all of the retarded stuff that you hate anyway, and you get pushed further away. But she thought that because that's what caught your attention, that it would get your attention again. And now you have to be irritated with them doing all of this stuff. And it's just like, breakups don't have to be all of that, I think. So if you can only, if the woman can only do things that you claim to love when she's single, what does that say about you? If you like something, male nature, you see something, you think it's amazing, you want to get it and place it in your house, and then you want to restrict it and kill it. You want it silent and still. That's for what? This is not what it used to sound like in terms of marriages. Now, that was where our parents, I don't know, I'm not involved in their marriage. They don't have to answer to me. But this is what I'm hearing from y'all. I hope y'all are really not doing this inside of your house. I hope this is just fun on the internet. But just in case anybody's watching this, they need to not recreate that. So, with all of these things, that's what I think is the reason why polygamy was outlawed. Are y'all sure you want it back? It's a lot. Okay, so this page is just, what I think the personal criteria would be. This is just my vote if we have to, right? Because I don't want to. I don't think y'all are ready, but if we have to, this is what I think should happen. So the criteria, what I'm proposing would be the criteria and the checklist for who gets to. What is your understanding of this concept? There should be a spiritual or a cultural reasoning that led you to this decision. Have you identified specific women that you'd like to include? How do they know each other? Because they are in fact supposed to know one another or get to know one another. How many will you be taking? And what is your plan to introduce them or to dismiss them? How much income, land, network will this require? Your specific plan, how you want to set it up. What's the best use for any of those things? What's going to be your family values? Will there be house rules? How are you going to enforce all of this? How will you explain this to the children? How are you going to explain this to supporters, outsiders? How will you maintain participation? What exactly would they be agreeing to? You have to think about what your personality traits are and what do you normally expect from others in your life? What kind of person are you? Are you comfortable being transparent? Are you willing to give back and support other people joining the lifestyle? Do you consider gatekeeping of the lifestyle important? Because you're going to have to make time to do that. If y'all want this to happen, I still vote no. But I'm hoping to stop all of the argument. If you accomplish it, this is just my recommendation. So this is not according to any religion or anything that exists as we speak. This is my idea. 1, keep your own records for health, wealth, and relations. You're gonna need that, as the family gets older. 2, everybody gets a ceremony, and then you renew it on your decade anniversary. So every 10 years, like options at the end of a contract. 3, be ready to shoulder all the responsibility in exchange for all of the reward. Don't recruit other people at all. Don't discourage people unnecessarily or without reason. And 5, the oaths should revolve something alike from the man to the woman: security, love, and appreciation from the woman to the man, tranquility, respect, and acquiescence. I feel like that might already be written somewhere and supposed. I don't really know, but I do know that it's not being done, and that was sarcasm. Anyway, so that's my idea. That's what I think should happen. There's a little truth in just y'all are basically not ready. So anyway, if there's any questions, leave them below in the chat. Otherwise, I guess I'll do a whole lot of talking to y'all later. Bye.